guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, My Wife, a 32-year-old female, and I, a 29-year-old male, have been married for 5 years, and I'm starting to resent how she and her family acts towards me. And guys, this story is about a guy, he married his wife 5 years, and problems are starting to arise because her family, they all went to college, and they all have master's degrees and all that, but he never went to college. And early on, there was he could sense some issues where they were poking fun at him, so to speak, because he didn't go to college. Then this guy starts pursuing jobs that there's an actual demand for, and eventually he starts making more than them. And all sorts of resentment and problems start arising with comments they say to him, things like disrespect, and even causing problems with him and his wife. His wife's a teacher, respectable job, but he's making more than her. And then he starts making even more money and more problems arise. So this guy's wondering, what the hell? I'm doing well. They ought to be proud of me, especially my wife, but instead it's causing all this resentment and problems. And I'm doing this, guys, in particular for you relationship guys, that understand this, guys, is that when you get into a relationship or marriage, you need to do some serious screening of the girl you're getting involved with, or vetting, if you will, and find out these little things like if you don't go to college, or let's just say you have a good trade, if education is you not having an education, like a college degree, that's a better way to describe it, is going to cause some issues, not only with her, but her family, to cause them to talk down to you, look down to you, stuff like that. Also, another reason I'm doing this video, guys, and for anybody, is to cover areas of jealousy, where a lot of times when you start doing better than other people, where those people thought that they were better than you at one point, a lot of people are going to hate you for it. And many of you guys I know are working hard to improve your lives. And mark my words, if you haven't discovered this yet, you're going to have resentment. Mark my words, because it's easier just to hate on others that do well than actually admit that maybe you didn't make the best decisions in life, where you could be doing better, or to take action to improve your lives. It's easier to hate on others. No joke. And last but not least, a lesson in this story is how you got to stand up for yourself when people are being disrespectful to you. Anybody. Doesn't make a difference who it is, especially your wife. So I'm going to go through this here and see if I can answer this guy's questions, help him out, and maybe if any of you guys ever happen to go through this, you'll know what to do and how to handle it. So it starts off. It says, I never thought I'd be posting here. Just a lurker and could generally use some outside opinions. My wife, April, and I have been married for about 5 years. She has a master's degree in education. Both of her parents have master's degrees. Her sister has 2 bachelor's degrees. I never went to college. When April and I got married, I was making about $45,000 a year, which was okay here in the rural South. I was working as a junior system administrator. Her family seemed all right with me, some gentle ribbing about how I never went to college. Well, you got to pay attention to that stuff. Little things like that can turn into disrespect and other problems down the road. Always pay attention to the red flags, guys. Even the little red flags. As time went on, the ribbing has turned into something that makes me uncomfortable with myself. And I don't even know how this happened, and I don't even know how to accurately describe this. I feel like I hate myself for being successful. In other words, he starts doing well for himself, but they're hating on him, so he actually resents himself for being successful, and you're going to see. I took a job a few years ago making $65,000 a year. Sweet. Going from 45 to 65, that's a hell of a percentage increase. Good for this guy. April was pregnant and I was over the moon. I was also scared shitless. I found a better job to support us. She was adamant that she wanted to continue to work until the baby was born, and she has since. The new job was a good bump in pay, but April made some comments about how someone without a degree is making twice as much as her. Wait a second here. He's her husband. He's now making more money that can provide a better life for her, their baby, and that's a bad thing? Well, you're going to see here, because she and her family are all about education, God forbid somebody goes down a different path and is doing better than them. Makes no freaking sense, but you're going to see more how a problem this is. And a shit like this is where the guy should have laid down the law immediately, but he doesn't. He says she's a teacher. So before that jump, we made about equal pay. I told her that she is doing what she wanted to do and makes a difference, which it does. I agreed that teachers are underpaid and told her if she valued a higher salary that she should definitely pursue that. Exactly. Take action to do that. But does she do that? Well, you'll see. Apparently, April told her entire family what I was making at my new job. I was really upset about this. I consider that very personal and not anyone else's business but ours. It is your business. It's not their business how much money you make. And I would freaking lay down the law right then and there with her. Don't ever do that again. Our financial business, what we have, all that, that's us. Okay, your family doesn't need to know this stuff. I consider that very personal and not anyone's business but ours. It wasn't long after that her brother made a comment about how it wasn't fair that he was making less than me because he has been working longer than me. That made absolutely no sense to me. Not fair. That shows the level of manhood in this guy, whining about how it's not fair. We got a whole society now that whines about how things are not fair this and not fair that. If you want something better for yourself, you take action. And you also pursue career or job opportunities that there's a big demand for, and they'll obviously pay higher amounts of salaries and so forth for those skills. Obviously, the brother is not in a field that has as much demand, and I guarantee it pisses the brother off because he went to college. Meanwhile, this guy didn't and is making more. Her sister with 2 degrees, you want to talk about a stereotype there, made the same comments, except she works in a fast food restaurant and has for the last 12 years in a non-managerial role. Her degrees are in, wait for it, creative writing and psychology. And she's working in a fast food restaurant. Now, I got no problem if somebody works in a fast food restaurant if their level of skills and intelligence is as far as they can go. But if you have obviously half a brain, you can do better for yourself, then you should be doing something else. But no, it's easier for her to just work down a fast food restaurant and be pissed off, but feel mighty and strong because she has 2 college degrees. And 2 things that, guess what, there aren't a whole lot of demand for unless you pursue a higher degree in the psychology. But get the hell out of here. She's jealous of him. No one's forcing her to stay working at Burger King or wherever that Five Guys, wherever she works. But I guarantee she felt high and mighty because of her 2 degrees. Creative writing, for goodness sake. Her dad also made a comment about me making more than him now. He works for the state government, and I had to convince him that he was still coming out on top with his great benefits, retirement, etc. Why is it up to me to convince him? I have no idea. Because he's a petty jackass, that's why. And yeah, he works for the state government, so they're not going to get paid as much, but they will get the benefits and retirement and all that. That comes later on down the road, but he doesn't care. Because again, with his master's degree, he feels superior. Now you would think, logically, he'd be happy that his little girl has a husband that's pursuing, and by the way, guys, this guy is constantly taking courses and things like that to get better jobs, and you're going to see this, taking action, which I encourage you guys to do. But no, it's easy to be petty and jealous. And this is when this guy should have been standing up for himself and laying down the law so nobody makes snips at him and comments and stuff like that. He says, here we are a few years later, as I've received raises, bonuses, etc., the commentating from April's family has gotten worse. They refer to me as the 1% and how I should be paying more taxes. They've made comments about how someone with my limited education shouldn't be making more than any of them. What a bunch of a-holes. See, guys, this is why you screen not only who you get involved with if you're going to get married, which I don't recommend, but if you do, but also her family. And those little snips she was making about the education they were making, now it's becoming an issue. Should have paid attention to that, but he didn't know any better. They have stated multiple times now how I should go buy lottery tickets and how lucky I am to be getting paid what I do. It started to eat at me. Yeah, lucky. This guy made his own luck. This guy took action to get something, do well for himself. And he's going to keep doing that in spite of their BS comments. I would never tolerate that crap, not for a second. When you don't stand up for yourself, guys, people will just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, treating you badly, insulting. You got to stand up for yourself. It all blew up over the weekend. I lost my shit. Her dad and sister were over at our house, and he was talking about a new girlfriend his brother has. He said he couldn't relate to her because she was uneducated, and he has nothing to say to those kinds of people. What a jackass. He said this right in front of me, and I finally just lost it. It was like 5 years of me grinding and bearing it blew up. I'd never been confrontational with April's family, so I guess to them it came from nowhere. He had every right to defend himself, but they weren't used to that, so look how they respond and how she responds. I told him that I was uneducated by his definition, so he has nothing to say to me either. He gave a weak excuse about, well, that is different, you have experience. And I told him that this other girl has experience too. I told him that writing people off because they didn't follow his same path of education was incredibly demeaning. Good for this guy for standing up for himself. I also told him I didn't appreciate the offhand comment about my salary, my lack of a college degree, and I would appreciate if they kept their jealousy under a tighter lid next time they come to my house that my lack of education pays for. I felt really bad and really good at the same time. They left under awkward silence. Good for this guy for standing up for himself. And by the way, they were in his house. Would you guys let somebody come in your house and talk down to you and make you feel like you're lower than them? Not a chance in hell. But look how his wife responds to this. And April totally ripped me. She said I was being unfair. Back to the unfair shit. I told her I have heard enough of their comparisons to me and Donald Trump. I'm not effing rich. I make a decent living and provide for my family. I take pride in that. I love my daughter with everything I have, and I want to be the best for her. Good. This guy's a stand-up guy. This guy's old school guy. He's working hard, doing well for himself, for his family. I told her the way her family, including her, had been treating me was pretty damaging to myself and self-confidence, and I didn't appreciate it. I wouldn't say anything about the self-confidence, but I'd tell her flat out, I don't appreciate the way you talk to me, and you better cut this shit out, or we're going to have a serious problem. And I wasn't going to tolerate her dad coming to our house and acting like an a-hole. She said, well, that's just how my dad is. Well, I would say, well, this is how I am from now on, and if he wants to set foot in this house, he's going to shut the fuck up. That's what I would say. Lay down the law with your wife. It also gets worse. It is really sad that I have to say this, is the worst part. I accepted a new job a few days ago. I spent the last few years paying for my own additional training, networking, taking on projects at work, etc. I accepted a role as a senior system architect for a cloud private company. They offered me a generous, wait for it, $105,000 a year salary and a month-long vacation. And my wife basically made me feel like shit about it. $105K in the rural South working for a cloud company, that's sweet. A month off and obviously the benefits. Maybe if they're a public company, stock options, or if they're private but they go public one day, maybe stock options. Sweet. Good for this guy. And yet his wife makes him feel like shit about it because this is the guy that was beneath her because he didn't have his college degree. You know, ordinarily women are happy to have the guy that makes more money and everything, but obviously she got this shit about the college degree from her parents. And let me just say this, guys. We've been in a society for a long time that hammers in, you got to go to college, and it doesn't make a difference what degree you have. Well, those people are learning now because they go to college and get these degrees and things that there isn't a whole lot of demand for, and now they have these astronomical student loans, and what they get for salaries don't justify what they spent on the college and what they have to pay for every month. And they're resentful towards others that are doing well, and they didn't do that, okay? Because a lot of times people, they'll always say, that's what we were told to do. We were told to do. Well, when the masses are being told something to do, usually the people that don't do what the masses are being told to do are the ones that make out well if they play their cards right, okay? Most people don't think for themselves, guys. Most people in this world are sheep, and they listen and go along with what the herd is doing. And usually the herd goes to the slaughter. She literally broke down into tears. She said verbatim, she can't be happy for me. I don't even effing understand how that is possible. After all this shit, I don't know about you guys, but I would be seriously thinking about time to speak to a lawyer and to cut my losses and move on. This guy cannot be happy being married to a woman that's hating on him and jealous because this guy's doing so well. What kind of effed up universe are we in right now where this guy's doing great for himself, the family, she should be proud of him and the good life she can provide, and he's getting hated on by her and the family? I would have been out of there a long time ago, but this is perfect grounds to just cut his losses. Even though he makes more, we're going to have to pay her an alimony and all that stuff, and she get half the shit, move on. The guy's young. It's not worth it. But anyhow, she says she doesn't like her job, as it is sad that I'm going to be making 2.5 times as much as she is, even though she has a degree and I have nothing. I didn't know how to respond. After a few minutes to collect my thoughts, I told her she shouldn't be happy. She shouldn't be unhappy for me. I told her she should be happy for us. I also told her if she was unhappy with her job, she should just quit and stay home with her daughter or find a part-time job. Good, lay down the law. Or I have an idea. How about maybe she looks for something in administration, moving on to be like a principal or something like that, or just try something else. You go to school for something, and it doesn't mean you have to do that the rest of your life. You can make changes. The real sick thing about this, though, is that I'm starting to believe the shit her family's been saying. Maybe I don't deserve what this new job is going to pay me. No, don't believe what these jealous, absolutely jealous a-holes are trying to put in your head. They're spiteful. They're jealous. This is why I tell you guys, again, you start doing things to improve your lives, you're going to have people that are going to be jealous of you when you start doing better than them. And they're going to manipulate you and sabotage and do all sorts of stuff. You need to distance yourself from people like that as much as possible, even if it's your own family. Now, it's the in-laws, but even still. I feel like I've been conditioned to think that if someone went to college, they're immediately better than me. No, they're not, and this is clearly the case. And I think April has been conditioned of that too. She isn't a bad person, although my story may paint her in a harsh light. But I think her family has pushed the "you must go to college or you will be a complete failure," and she doesn't know how to reconcile that someone who didn't go to college isn't a complete failure. She may have been raised in that household. She may have been brainwashed into that, but she's a freaking adult in her 30s. She's accountable for her actions, okay? I don't want to hear this, oh, she gets a pass and an excuse because she was raised that way. No. We're all adults. You make your bed and you lie in it. He says, trust me, I'm not bashing college. I'm not anti-college. I wish I went to college. I'm under no illusion that multiple doors were possibly closed to me, and it took me longer to break into this field without a degree. Yeah, well, now you've come out on top. I want my daughter to go to college because it will help. It just wasn't for me, and in the time of my life, I made the best I could of the situation. Look, guys, I'm all for continually to educate yourself throughout your life. But when I say educate, I don't necessarily mean go to college. You can self-educate by reading and learning up on things constantly, because you got to keep improving yourself and learning and gaining more knowledge to help you in life. But in terms of higher education, college, master's degrees and all that, if you're going to go and pursue a degree where there is a demand for that degree, so you can get paid well and you make a good return on the investment of what you pay for the college loans and your time going there and so forth. Don't go into something because it just seems fun and there's no demand for later on, like his sister-in-law with her creative writing degree and psychology. She could have done psychology and gone on maybe a master's or something else, and that would have been different. But now she's working at Burger King or I don't know where, a fast food joint, with those 2 college degrees. But she's still superior because she has those college degrees. So always educate yourself, guys. And if you're going to do college, sure, just make sure there's a demand for it. That's all. Do the homework. Do the research ahead of time. And you want to make money, make sure you're in the private sector, okay? And something that the private sector wants in a field that there's demand for. And save your freaking money. He says, so I have 3 real questions. Number 1, how do I get out of the mindset where I'm starting to internally believe this nonsense? I don't know how to even describe it. I logically know that their BS isn't true, but there's a part of me doubting that and is affecting my self-confidence. I'm starting to feel guilty for being successful professionally. Well, that's all you, man, okay? At the end of the day, you cannot let other people make you feel down for their own insecurities. They're the ones that are insecure, and they're the ones that are jealous, okay? You can't let that happen. Now, I have my opinion on how this guy ought to handle the situation, which I'll come to at the end, but you can't let people do that because they win. They win if they bring you down. They win if you start feeling bad for yourself. And, I mean, that's crazy. A man that's successful and doing well and taking care of his family has to feel bad about it. Number 2. How do I get April and I on the same page? We have had some rocky times in our marriage, but we have worked through them. But I almost feel guilty now for trying to be the best I can be professionally, because I know it just makes her feel like crap. Maybe I'm defending her in a little too much by laying the blame with her family. Yes. I don't know. When she said she couldn't be happy for me that I got a new job that would put us into a comfort of living outside of our friends and both of our families, it crushed me. Well, man, this is a big, giant wake-up call that perhaps maybe it's not going to be very good for you in April in the end. If she's making you feel like crap about this and it's causing this much conflict about this, that her self-esteem is so low and that her ego honestly actually is so, or her fake ego, or ego, and is so big that, God forbid you're doing better than her, then therefore, you might want to seriously question whether you want to be in this marriage anymore. A lot of people might be like, oh, how dare you say that? They have a child. Well, is it better to be miserable dealing with her and the family? Number 3, How do I handle her family? Tell them to F off. That's what you do. I'm not very confrontational. I feel bad about how I reacted to the underhanded comment her dad made the other day. Don't feel bad. In fact, that was the first time you were probably truly acting like a man and from her father. He was in your house insulting you. Stand up for yourself. Has he done it since? Gotta stand up for yourself, guys, otherwise people will push you around. And remember, bullies look for weakness. So he says right here, I'm not confrontational. So it was easy for this bully of his father-in-law to make comments and be rude and disrespectful. I bet you that when this guy stood up to him, that's probably the first time the guy probably had any real respect for him. But I'm sure he's going to keep up with his BS and test you. So this guy has to stand up to them. I told April I didn't want an apology. I just want her family to be clear that they won't be welcome over at my house if they weren't going to be respectful of either of us. Good. And I felt that them acting like that. Let me start again. And I feel that them acting like they have towards me is being disrespectful to not only me, but to her as well. Yeah, you bet your ass. Completely being disrespectful. But here's the deal. Based on this story, and I've read this over a couple times and my life experience in this guy can go one of two routes. Number one, if he really wants to, at least at this juncture, try to save the marriage, he needs to sit down with her and have a serious conversation. Look, this is affecting our marriage. This is affecting me. Okay, I love you. I'm doing well for myself because it's important to me and for us. All right, this shouldn't be a problem. You do great. You're a teacher, but obviously there are limits to how much you can make because you're a teacher in the public school system and they're only going to pay you so much. It is what it is. Okay? As for your family, they're going to cut the shit right now. If they keep making these comments, they're not welcome in the house. End of story. I've tolerated that bullshit for so long. For you, not anymore. I don't want to hear any more comments, no disrespect, or they're never setting foot in here, and they're not going to see their granddaughter. And we're going to work on this. And if she gets a major attitude adjustment, okay, then that's worth giving it a shot on the basis that this guy wants to work it out. Or the way I see things going, because I have enough experience in this, in life, and these stories, as the guy realizes, no matter what, there's always going to be turmoil. There's always going to be drama. She's already making me feel bad about my success. I can't live the life I want and be the man I was born to be with her constantly sabotaging my success, making me feel bad about it, and not to mention her disrespectful family. And maybe it's time to think about jumping ship, because it's not going to work out. Some people might say, oh, go to a therapist or a marriage counselor. And okay, that could be an option there. But oftentimes I found they tend to side with the woman. If it was me, I'd be talking to a lawyer and at least finding out my options. Good, bad, or ugly, what are my options in that particular state? You know, let's just say he said, you know what, this isn't working. I'm tired of this shit. Okay, hey man, because he's making more, she's going to get a decent alimony check. Even though she's working. She's going to get half the assets. She'll probably get the kid. She'll probably get the house. But at least he'll be away from her and her freaking psycho family and can start over. And this guy is a go-getter, so he most certainly can, even if he has to live cheap for a while in a studio apartment or something like that, he can save his money, he's doing well for himself, and the company he's making and the kind of money he's making, like he say lives in the rural South, he'll be fine. And at the very least, joint custody of the daughter. But what's worse, staying in the marriage with this type of shit forever, even if he is standing up for himself, there's still going to be drama and shit, and I guarantee it's going to get worse, because this guy's going to keep doing better, because he's in the private sector, and as he keeps pushing to improve himself, he's going to get paid more and more and more. And so what? Every time he gets a raise, he's going to have a meltdown? It's not worth it, guys. Guys put up with so much shit because they think that's just what a man is supposed to do, and just take all this abuse and stuff like that for the family. You get to a point, it's just not worth it. And guys watching this that have been through this in one form or another, have been divorced, they know, they say, why didn't I divorce her years ago? Why did I keep put up with this shit for so long? The type of guys that stay in a marriage until the kids are 18 and they literally graduate high school, and the next day after graduation they're like, see ya. They look back and say, I should have done this years ago. So that's what I would do in this situation. But I think probably the guy would do option one first. And if option one doesn't work where he tries, then move on to option two. Life is short. Your kid will grow up okay. You don't want your kid to grow up in a house where mom and dad can't stand each other and there's drama and turmoil with all the family. It's just not worth it. So anyhow, guys, that was a good one to cover. Again, this goes back to the thing about pay attention to the red flags, do some serious screening before you get involved with a woman, and not just her, but also her family, especially if you're going to get married. how you got to stand up for yourself, and of course how people will be resentful and jealous of you when you start doing better than them. Not everybody's going to be like that. I'm not saying that, but a lot of people will, especially when you are kind of in their view breaking the rules. This guy is not going according to the master plan of you must go to college, you must get a degree, you must do this, this, and this in this particular order. No, he didn't go to college, but he worked hard, and he feels like, and I guarantee you see it as he's making them look dumb. So, but anyhow, they're a-holes, so screw them. So anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Guys, if you ever have an experience kind of like this, where you have been working hard for yourself and doing better, and all of a sudden you have people hating on you and being jealous and making comments like that, or maybe you didn't go to college, but you got a good trade, or you own your own business that you started, and you didn't go to college, and a lot of people are making comments about that, let me know about it. I'd like to hear it in the comments section. It could help somebody out if they do read it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.